Hey there again, welcome to What a Time to Be Alive. Real estate decisions are some of the biggest that we make in our lives. Whether you're hoping to one day own your own home, or already on the property ladder, or want to become a real estate billionaire. This is because, for the majority of us, the biggest money transactions we make are for the roofs over our heads or for the ones we're going to rent out to other people. So let's start racing our real estate IQ and get straight to it with 10 ways to value property. Number 1. Look at the price of similar properties. Yep, you might have thought valuing property was going to be as complicated as rocket science. Well, the most common approach is really simple, and it's something you already do when you're buying anything from electronics to groceries. You compare what you want to buy or sell with similar products on the market with property. Similar means something that's sold in the last 3 to 6 months that's about the same size as the property you're looking at now and with the same number of rooms. And about the same condition and, very importantly, in the same neighborhood. If you want to buy or sell a property and want to know what it's worth, find a similar property that's sold recently and that'll give you a good idea. Number 2. Factor in differences that you can calculate. But isn't that too simple? How am I going to find a property that's exactly the same as the one I'm interested in or the one I'm trying to sell? If you are about to ask this, you are right. That's why number 1 is usually just the first step. Next, you have to factor in the differences that you can calculate. But what do we mean by differences? We can calculate, let's say you're looking at buying or selling a house. Let's call it House 1 and one similar house in the same neighborhood sold last month for $400,000. We can call that one House 2. House A needs structural repairs, but House 2 was in excellent condition. Here, working out the difference is easy. Ask some builders to give you a quote for how much it would cost to repair house. Number 3. And try to factor in differences. You can't calculate as well. There are differences that are easy to put a price on, like a swimming pool kitchen. Upgrades or repairs that need doing, but what about differences? You can't quantify easily. One's on the plus side. Maybe it's close to the shopping district or has an amazing view, or on the minus side, like being next to a busy highway. Well, you can calculate how these will affect the price, and the key is experience. A beginner in real estate won't be able to tell exactly how much a city shopping district nearby will add to the value of a property. There's no formula for it. Because it's going to be different from city to city, but for someone who's always checking out local real estate listings, thinking about what factors are pushing prices up and down, eventually they'll build up experience and intuition, and they'll be able to make a good calculation too. Number 4. If you're buying to invest, figure out if it's worth the investment. Let's say you've got your sights on an apartment you want to rent out. You need to figure out if it's worth it or if you can do better with other properties in the same area. How do you do this? First, you find 2 figures. The first is the amount you'll need to earn from the apartment in a year. If it's already being rented out by the owner, you can ask for how much, if not compare with similar rentals in the area. Deduct maintenance costs and taxes, and you'll be left with a figure called the net operating income. Let's repeat that. That's the amount you expect to collect in rent in 1 year. Let's say you've estimated it at $14,000 a year for the apartment you're looking at. Number 5. Work out how much it would cost to build it from scratch. People in the real estate business call this one the replacement approach or the cost approach, and it's pretty much what it says. If the building disappeared overnight, how much would it cost to replace it and build it again from the ground up? First, you need to know the value of the land under the building. Then calculate how much it would cost to put the building up all over again. Including the cost of materials and labor, adjust them down for aging and damage, and you've got your value. Real estate professionals use this approach to calculate the value of buildings that don't often sell on the market, for example schools, hospitals, or government building. And it goes on the assumption that a sensible buyer wouldn't pay more for a property than what it would cost to buy the land and build it themselves. Number 6. Ask a real estate agent. You could just talk to a realtor. No need to make any complicated calculations yourself. Just let them do it, and even better, it's free. Well, surprised, there are a few drawbacks. First, if you're selling the property, don't just trust what the realtor tells you. It's well known they often inflate the value of properties because they want to convince you to put it on the market with them and not with somebody else. They don't expect to get the price they listed it for. They'll aim to drop it after a while. That means if you're the buyer, don't trust what realtors tell you either, because there's a good chance. Number 7. Ask a real estate appraiser. If you can't always trust realtors, which real estate professionals can, the best chance is a real estate appraiser, also known as a chartered surveyor in some countries. The drawback is it'll cost a few $100s, but in most countries it's normal to do one of these before closing a property sale with good reason. First, it's a lot more accurate. Real estate appraisers have to be highly qualified and follow strict procedures and show they are completely impartial and not biased toward either the buyer or the seller. Second, they have access to a huge database of property sales the real estate agent doesn't have. Number 8. Ask a property valuation website. You could also ask a computer, or to be more specific, a website. That does this property valuation for you. A lot of people do this, but it's definitely not the best way. Yes, computer algorithms are more and more advanced these days, but valuing real estate is one thing they're still not so good at. That's because they rely on public records of recent home sales in the area. This sounds good until you remember that there's a factor of minus points like structural damage or plus points like luxury furniture and fittings. Well, there's no public record for those, which means the computer has no way of knowing about them. Number 9. Listen to what the market tells you. Remember, the market value of a property basically means the price the buyer is happy to pay for it. And what the seller is willing to sell it for. That means if you're selling and you're unsure of what the value is, you can just listen to what the market tells you. If you list a property at a certain price and nobody makes an offer, that probably means it's overpriced and you need to go lower. But what if you get multiple offers the day you list it? That means the buyers are a bit too keen and it's probably underpriced. If this happens, put the price up and see if the buyers start to outbid each other. Number 10. Exploit the fact that people don't know the market. This one's not really about valuing the house, it's about making money from it. And how house flippers make a profit when they buy, renovate, and sell again. Remember when we talked about making modifications to houses? Basically, what we talked about is the following formula: market value of the house before renovations plus cost of renovations equals market value after renovations. Something like this: house flipper buys a house for $100,000 current value, the flipper spends $50,000 renovating it and sells it for $150,000. Simple, right? Except the house flipper has made no profit and they may as well have spent their time surfing Netflix. So here's what really happens. First, the house flipper knows the market better than other people. They buy a rundown house, and somebody who lets their property become rundown probably doesn't know the market. So, that was all. Hope you liked the video and see you in the next one.